Hello, everyone, and welcome back to an episode of the Northern Block Podcast. It is Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. I'm your host here, Nordic 97, joined by other host, LeBlock James. LeBlock, how are we doing?
You're doing fantastic.
We're going super speeds for this intro. That's great to hear. We're actually with a guest today for the first time or second time in MVP history. We got Mike Bartner here joining us at MB on Hockey. Mike, how we doing?
Doing fantastic. Multi-time guest on the Nordcast. Happy to be making my, what is it again? Nordblock?
Nordblock Pod.
Nordblock Pod. Let's get it.
Hell yeah. I love to hear that. All right. So first and foremost, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Oh, damn. Put me on the spot. I started making hockey content back in 2021 on TikTok, much like you guys. And yeah, I've just been growing out the platform, making fun hockey content, mainly like lists and rankings and all that fun stuff. And yeah, just trying to make great content for the followers.
So you're an Islanders fan. How did that happen?
My dad grew up on Long Island. I'm from New Jersey originally, and I still like the Devils a decent amount, but was gifted my fandom by my father.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes for everybody. But just going into the Islanders, man, let's look back at a year ago at this point. You guys had what? Cole Yzerman as your number one prospect. That was looked at to be great. At the time, you had a team that was coming off of a year where they lost in the first round again to Carolina, and things weren't looking so great. And now we get to this point, July 20th or 22nd, 2025. And you guys had probably, I would say, the best offseason of any team in the NHL, arguably. So I just want to ask you, like, what has been your, like, emotions as an Islanders fan going through the last year? Going from a team that was just, like, so in the middle, like, rebuild was coming. You were just, like, between playoffs and that for a couple of years forward. And now you're at this point. Maybe that hasn't changed, but what have your emotions been the last like year, if you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, basically from the Bo Horvat trade until like moments before we selected Cole Yzerman 20th overall, we were probably in the worst spot in the entire NHL. I don't think it's an exaggeration. Even after we selected Cole Yzerman, we were probably still in the worst. It probably wasn't until like the Cal Ritchie or some trade or something like that where things really started to switch. We were staring down like another 2-3 years of like best case scenario, losing to the Carolina Hurricanes in 5 or maybe even getting swept for the foreseeable future. So yeah, just to finally see change within the organization where Lou Lamoriello just ran the organization into the ground, basically believing in a core of Noah Dobson as number one defenseman, Matt Barzal as your best forward. I love Matt Barzal, but that on a Stanley Cup winning team, that can't be the case. We just had the most mediocre team of all time, and it was a team that was largely between the ages of like 28 to 33. It wasn't even like they were that young outside of like Noah Dobson and Simon Holmstrom. So yeah, the fact that ownership was finally willing to move on from Lou Lamoriello, the fact that Lou Lamoriello was willing to sell Brock Nelson at the 2025 deadline, it's just something that I have not seen in my lifetime as an Islanders fan. Such master classery by Matthew Darst. I don't think that's a word, but in the offseason in terms of prioritizing the future and still making some nice moves for now. The Jonathan Drouin signing of 2 years, $4 million. It just, there has been this much optimism for this team probably since, I guess, John Tavares got selected back in like 2009, but I wasn't really fully aware of that as a 9-year-old. So, yeah, it's awesome just to see people actually talking positively about the Islanders across social media is something I've literally never seen.
Yeah, the whole narrative of just them being like a mid-team was something that everybody would take on social media, including us three. We would all do it ourselves.
Oh, I'd kill them. It's crazy. People now think that I'm like such an Islanders homer when if you like at all consume my content from like 2022 to 2024, it's probably the biggest Islanders pessimist among Islanders fans on social media. So it's like I can't please these people either way.
Well, that's just how social media is. You know, I got to be honest with you. Like, if I had that team and we were just like at best a first round exit, I would be very frustrated as well. Just looking at that roster back, like. Even like looking at that roster in like 2021, you're like, how did this team make it to the conference finals? Like, it's just like, it's actually,
they were built for the playoffs, but yeah, once Pelican Palak started to regress a decent amount, they were done. that was like one of the best pairs in the entire NHL. Once they started regressing, we had to rely on Romanov and Dobson as our top pair. It just wasn't going to work.
Yeah, just wasn't going to work at all. But you get to the draft lottery in this past year around May, I believe, and you're sitting there probably in that same chair, and you're like watching this lottery, and the Islanders get first overall. And I remember texting you, and I'm like, Jesus, Mike, I can't believe this. What were your thoughts after that first overall pick was announced to you guys?
It was insane. Like, it was absolutely. What do you have? The 10th best odds to move up to first overall.
I'm pretty sure you were the last team that had a chance to get first overall. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe so. Either us or maybe the Rangers. But yeah, like we lost down the stretch. Like, we were someone in the wild card race, and I think we lost like 4 out of our last 6 or something like that to get within that, to surpass, like, in terms of the draft lottery odds, like the New York Rangers and Detroit Red Wings. I wasn't expecting it to break that way, obviously, considering we had 3% chance, but it was insane. Like, immediately, first thing that kind of came to my mind was like, I'm gonna have to deal with like the Higgins narrative for like the next 6 weeks, that we should take him instead of Matthew Schaefer. Thankfully, that slowly started to dissipate, and people started to understand that Matthew Schaefer was just the superior prospect. But yeah, it was awesome, and it completely changed direction. Like, if we had the 10th overall pick, and if we selected, I don't know, like who went 10th overall, McQueen, we'd still be in a pretty good spot right now. But just getting that actual blue chip guy, I always talk about with a team like Calgary Flames or something like that. They actually got Zamparek at 9th overall, but you need that blue chip guy. You can have a bunch of like B+, A- prospects, and it's nice at all. But if you don't have that franchise superstar, which hopefully Matthew Schaefer can be, I'm not saying it's a lock, but like that really brings together the rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, the block, you can kind of speak to the same thing because Ottawa kind of went through it. I mean, they were just bad outright. They weren't mid.
Did we go through it?
You definitely went through it. That's for sure. But, I mean, if you kind of want to speak on it from your Senators' perspective, like, getting that blue chip guy, like, would you say your blue chip guy is Stützle, right?
Well, yeah.
I would say.
I say it's Stützle. Like, I could argue Sanderson's also the blue chip guy. Like, we got both of them in the same draft. And
well, where would you be right now without Stützle?
Oh, the forward core would be a disaster. Like, I think, like, I don't want to say a disaster, but like, without Stützle, like, there's no number one center. This one number one center, I think it'd probably be Dylan
Pinto,
Cousins, and it's Cousins, Pinto, Greg, and then the defense, it'd still be Shabbat as the first left-hand defenseman with Zub, which it's not bad, but it's not. I'm not throwing the parade for that.
Yeah, so you need those blue chip guys to kind of set your team forward. And if the Islanders don't get that, I think they'd be bad for much longer. But just overall, that entire draft, like, you know, you draft Schaefer first overall. You spoke on that a little bit. But not only that, making the big Noah Dobson trade to get Victor Eklund and Kashawn Aitchison, 2 very good picks at, 16 and 17? It is absolutely just like robbery for the Islanders. Would you agree?
Yeah. And at the time, it started to trend kind of not our way after the top 10. The top 10 was kind of consensus. There wasn't any shock. So I was starting to like shit myself that we were not going to get someone that good at 16 to 17. Like someone good, but not like a consensus top 15 guy. Thankfully, at 11th overall, Ben Kindle went to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Your Philadelphia Flyers selected Jack Nesbitt at 12th. And then I was like, holy shit, like, we're going to get at least one of Eklund, Carbonneau, and like Aitchison at 16 and 17. And yeah, Eklund fell, I guess, because of his size, but what he's done in Sweden has just been so impressive. Obviously, his brother's amazing in the NHL right now. But yeah, to get Yzerman last year at 20, and then this year kind of have 2 guys that were top 15 across the board for the most part, Aitchison around that range. But it's crazy, the fact that it has happened in back-to-back years, getting one of the better forwards in the draft.
At that spot, too. Like, later on, it's actually kind of wild. Can you speak on some of the other picks you guys took in the draft? You guys took Prokhorov. I know you took somebody else that was of note, but
Romano, right? Luca Romano. Yeah. Prokhorov, he had good goal totals, I think, in the MHL, like 20 goals in 40 games, something like that. The thing that people were saying at a dev camp is like he's a psychopath in terms of his motor. He's like 6'5", 210 pounds, decently skilled. Not sure he's gonna have like top 6 skill, but like apparently he was like cursing out the other prospects in like a joking way, getting in their face. So like best case scenario, I'd say probably like a decent third liner that can give you 20 and 20, but it's 6'5" physicality. Like that's what you look for in the playoffs. And then Luca Romano was like a mid-second round guy that I think we got in the early third. And he's just viewed as like a speedy 5'11" guy. I think he's around like point per game, a little bit under point per game in the OHL this season, and can like kill penalties. So like, not saying I expect Prokhorov, I expect Romano, but like they could be solid bottom six pieces, and you'll take that every day of the week at that pick at 42nd and 77th overall. I think it was like, if they turn into anything, you're absolutely elated. You need your top three guys to pan out. That's kind of just icing on the cake.
So you're really invested in how all the teams did in the draft. Would you say the Islanders had the best draft? No bias.
It's kind of tough. Whoops, I keep on doing my hair. The Islanders is tough because like they got the first overall pick. It's same thing with the Sharks last year. Like yes, they got Celebrini, but also like that's just like the shoe in. Like everybody had him going there. It's. I'm trying to think. I kind of forget who else absolutely killed it. I really like the Washington Capitals, who were selecting at 27th and 37th. They got my number 16 and my number 17, which was Lakovic and Gastrin. So, like, the overall haul, I think it's hard to argue against the New York Islanders just getting the most raw talent. Maybe the Philadelphia Flyers because they had so many goddamn picks as well. But, an overall haul, probably the Islanders. There were maybe some teams that got better value total, like per draft slot. But yeah, it's hard to argue that the Islanders weren't at least top three in the draft.
Definitely, yeah. Before I move on to free agency, LeBlanc, do you have any questions or anything on the draft?
Calgary had a good draft.
Calgary did have a damn good draft.
Calgary did do really good.
They might have won last year's draft.
Yeah, that definitely them too. I feel like getting Aitchison and Eklund at 17 and 16 might have been better than getting Schaefer at 1 because Schaefer 1, it's the shoe in there.
Mm-hmm.
Getting
Yeah.
Eklund to fall there and then getting Aitchison, who was my number 3 defenseman in the draft.
Yeah, and it's like
I told Evan at the time, like I don't know, I'm really high on Aitchison, so
guy's big and mean.
Yeah, and he's perfect. He's perfect behind Schaefer. Like we didn't have to swing for the fences on a defenseman, considering we just got our franchise defenseman. To get a guy that could just be like a total smash mouth, like team favorite for the next 15 years is going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be what Aitchison is. So taking a look then at like free agency and the moves that you guys made, you brought in Jonathan Drouin on a pretty decent contract. You brought in Maxim Shabanov on a 1-year deal, I believe. And then you also brought in David Riddick on the back end, which I do want to ask you, what does that mean then for – is Varlamov still under contract? Or am I looking wrong?
I think he has one more year at 2.75. Actually, he might have 2 years. I kind of
So what does that mean for Varlamov then with Riddick coming in there? As the
apparently he started to skate again, but I don't think he's going to play this season. I think he might kind of be an LTIR retirement at this point. And even if he returns, I don't know how much, even though Big Save Dave wasn't that good this season, I don't know like how much of an improvement he'd either be. We might as well just throw him on LTIR and just save the $1.75 million.
Yeah, might be the best thing to go with. But overall in the forward core, you guys brought in Drouin, Shabanov, and then Heineman you got from the Dobson trade. How do you feel about those guys and what the impact they're going to do on the forward core?
I'll start with Heineman. He was actually a pretty encouraging piece like early on for Montreal. I think he had like 10 goals, 7 assists in his first 40 games or something like that in Montreal. And then he got hit by a car before a game against the Utah Hockey Club. And then it like completely derailed his season. Hopefully it's not like a long-term effect. But after that, he had like 3 points in 20 games to finish out the year. He has very strong defensive numbers. He's a pretty good goal scorer, pretty damn physical. I think he had like 160 points, and like 160 hits in 60 games last season. So, in terms of a 23-year-old, solid defensive bottom sixer, I think he's going to be a little bit underrated. I'm not expecting like the world out of him, but if he can turn into a 20 and 20 guy, that's just another piece to the Dobson deal that makes it better for the Islanders. Jonathan Drouin, why not at that contract? I don't think that like on that contract we're going to be competing at an extremely high level with winning Stanley Cups, but I think he's going to make the power play a lot better with his passing ability, which is the power play has been like god awful the last couple of years. I think Wah said that he's going to play on Bo Horvat's wing, which encouraged me a little bit that Barzal's going to go back to playing center. He kind of has to because Brock Nelson's no longer there. So yeah, Jonathan Drouin, 2 years. If it doesn't work out, you can really trade him at any point and probably get assets for him at that cap hit, especially next year at the deadline. And then Shabanov's kind of like the big question mark. I don't know what to expect. He's point per game in the KHL. He's 5'8" though. I don't think that he has like the high end skill, obviously, of a Panarin or a Kaprizov, and he's older than those guys. He would have been a 2019 draftee, and he has like an October birthday, so he's even old for 2019 draftees. But it's like with the Russian guys, you might as well take a chance. Like it's not like you're giving up any capital to get him. He's on a 1-year deal at $800K. Siplakov, who's still an RFA, Siplakov was damn good for us in his one season coming over from Russia. He's probably going to re-sign at like 2 years, 2.5 or something like that. So yeah, why not? A bunch of teams were after him. If he doesn't work out, you throw him on the third line for the entire season, and then he goes, signs a different team, or returns back to Russia. So yeah, just good value signings. Didn't sign anybody long term where it's going to like hurt this team. Hurt once like Schaefer enters, hopefully his stardom outside of like the Romanov deal. But yeah, just thinking about getting younger and getting a little bit flexibility in terms of the long term outlook of this team.
So to wrap up here, what are your expectations next season for the Islanders now?
I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be like horrible. I just want a fun product, like especially in a Gavin McKenna draft. I will not be mad if we stink. I just want the power play to improve. I really just care if Matthew Schaefer plays good. Like if the team does stink, but Matthew Schaefer puts up 35, 40 points with solid analytics, I'm perfectly fine with that. I just want the young guys to do well. Hopefully Lee plays good. Pajot plays good. We can ship them out at the deadline. Sorokin has a good season. This team isn't going deep in the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, I wouldn't hate it because, like, again, we have hopefully that star player and a really good prospect pool at this point. But yeah, I'd say like 87 points probably next year. I'm not going to be delusional. But yeah, I think they might improve it a little bit because the special teams were so bad last year. And Matt Barzal only played like 30 games, even though they don't have Brock Nelson next season or Noah Dobson. I think that they're going to be okay.
But now I got one more question here before I turn it over to LeBlanc. Do you think Schaefer plays with the Islanders next year?
Yeah. It's almost a foregone conclusion at this point, which I understand people saying that he didn't play that much at the OHL level last season coming off an injury. I will say like that injury was only a 3 to 4 month injury. It's not like he tore his ACL or something and just has not been skating at all like since December or something like that. So like he still has been practicing. He still has been training. I think the Islanders just don't want to like risk him staying in the OHL or going to some kind of college program and getting poor development. I think they just want him in-house, and I think he can handle a 18, 19 minute a night role next year for the New York Islanders. You have to play probably with like Scott Mayfield or something, which is not going to be too encouraging. But yeah, I think he's good enough. And yeah, unfortunately, the AHL rule doesn't kick in until the following year. That would be awesome if you could somehow go to Bridgeport if it doesn't go too well. But yeah, I expect him to be at the NHL level.
LeBlanc, do you have any questions for Mr. Bartner?
You took my question, actually. So,
I apologize.
Emil Heineman has been traded for the following players: Sam Bennett, Tyler Toffoli, and Noah Dobson. He's not even 25 yet.
Yeah, that is awesome. He has just been a journey, man. But I think he's going to find a role on the Islanders, a team that needs definitely goal scoring within their bottom six. I think he's going to surprise people. Obviously, Sid, Eklund are like the real key pieces of that trade. But yeah, if you could lock up Heineman on a relatively cheap deal, which I think they re-signed him for like 2 years at $2 million, or maybe even, it was $1.1 million. I think he's going to far exceed that. And then if you can lock him up on top of that, I think that could be a really solid bottom six piece and the guy that you need come playoff time in terms of physicality.
I got to see Heineman play quite a bit before, like you said, before he got hit by the car with Montreal. He's crafty. He's crafty. He finds open space. He's a good playmaker. He's got a really good shot too. So I think it's a good. Yeah. I think it'll be good for the Islanders bottom six in that role for sure.
In the games that I streamed, he just has a very like he moves the puck well. Again, like as you said, like he's very crafty.
He has some skill, yeah.
For a kid who can play on the fourth line and is a cheap option, it's going to work out pretty well for New York, I think. Unless if he gets hit by a car in Long Island, which is
the drivers are probably even worse there, so that's a little bit concerning.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. LeBlanc, if you don't have any more questions, we'll move into news around the league. We got a couple things to talk about here.
Let's get into
to lead off. Lucas Dostal has signed a 5-year, $6.5 million contract extension. Dostal's coming off of a year in Anaheim where he put up a .903. I don't have a problem with this deal. I think it's about what I expected, a little bit less than I would have thought of. But 5-year deal at that, I think that could be a good contract for Anaheim when it's in the third or fourth year of that one. They're probably in the playoffs. So I like it.
Yeah, Dostal basically took the reins from Gibson this year. Like, if you look at it, like he has great games. He also has games where he puts up some stinkers. But I feel like he's the goalie of the future, so you might as well give the goalie of the future a long-term deal to secure, stability between the pipes.
Give him that money.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially when you have the cap space like Anaheim, you might as well give them a little bit extra in terms of term. If they don't grow into it, in 2 to 3 years, you can move off that pretty easily.
Yeah, I totally agree. The Maple Leafs acquired Dakota Joshua from the Vancouver Canucks. Again, I know this was like 5 days ago, but we haven't recorded an episode in a little bit. They acquired Dakota Joshua from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for a 2028 fourth-round pick. Not a lot of risk here for Toronto. It's a fourth-round pick in 2 years from now, so it's not really that big of a deal. And Joshua coming off of a slower season than usual, but then again, he had cancer at the beginning of this, so I'm not expecting to put up like career numbers. So to be honest with you, if he can just be like a good 30, 40-point guy, I think it's a good move for Toronto.
I really do hate giving the Leafs credit for anything, but I got to give him credit for this because Dakota Joshua is just what the Leafs need. They need a tougher, he'd be tougher to play against, and he'll be great in that third line, potentially in that second line, perhaps. He's going to make him a lot tougher to play against. He's a big upgrade, especially considering they just traded Ryan Reeves, their noted tough guy. Now Dakota Joshua could be their noted tough guy, and he actually can, play hockey well and score goals. I really do like his game. He's a grinder, and I think he's going to work really well for the Leafs for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely going to be closer to the player that he was in 2024 compared to 2025. There was like the graphic of like the cap hit of Marner versus Joshua, Michelli. And although like the skill of Marner, the regular season points are going to be better in terms of his direction, most likely. Like as you mentioned, the block, just getting more physical because we know what happens with Marner. You got to change the identity of the team, and it starts with guys like Joshua, like Wah. So I like it a decent amount.
Yeah, for sure. In other news, Gabriel Velarde has signed a 6-year, $7.5 million contract with the Winnipeg Jets. I like this contract. I don't really have too much of a problem with it. I think Velarde definitely has some health concerns, though. There's been some injuries that have happened. But to be honest, I don't think it's too bad of a deal. What do you guys think?
Well, considering there's a Velarde jersey right there on the wall. Dylan's an LA fan. So knowing Gabe Velarde is a great player. He had his best year of his career this year, 27 goals, 34 assists, 61 points. The problem with Velarde is, though, he's never played a full season. He can't really stay healthy. This is the most games he played in a season ever this year at 71. I feel like the cap hit is fine for me. The term is fine for me because it's Winnipeg, so you want to lock guys up long term when you can. And I don't know. I feel like if he can stay healthy through this deal, it's a great deal. If he keeps ending up on IR, then it's going to look not as great.
Yeah, that's my biggest worry with it. What do you think, Mr. Bartner?
Yeah, basically the exact same thing. The injury is definitely concerning. Definitely benefits a ton with playing with Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele on that top line, but he is such a good fit in terms of that, like more so physical net front presence. And assuming that they re-sign Kyle Connor, he's going to be playing with those guys throughout the duration of this deal. And I think he consistently give them like 30 goals, 40 assists, 70 points. And if he stays healthy, that's easily worth $7.5 million.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, Kaapo Kakko signs a 3-year, $4.525 million extension as well with Seattle. He was scheduled for arbitration on Friday. I think Velarde was too. I don't know what day it was, but Kakko was scheduled for Friday. They got him locked up. I mean, again, I think if Kakko can just do what he did in Seattle this past year, again, maybe a little bit better, I think this is a good contract. I don't think there's a ton of risk to this either. There's definitely risk to this as opposed to some of the other contracts, but I think Kakko, he looked way better in Seattle than he did with the Rangers when he just got a smidge more of ice time. I think if you give him second line minutes in Seattle, he can put up good numbers. I don't think that improves Seattle drastically. Like, they're still missing the playoffs, as we said before we got started here. But I do think that it's still a good extension. I'll give Jason Botterill a plus on this one.
Yeah, he signed one former bad New York Ranger, and I think this one's a little bit better than the Ryan Lindgren deal. The thing is, as you mentioned, like, they're not going to make the playoffs next season. They're not going to make it over the next 3 seasons. I probably would have given him just like a little bit more term, just because, like, by that 4th year, by that 5th year, maybe they could be some kind of competitive team. Versus, I think he's going to be worth this $4.75 million, just considering the fact he had 30 points in 49 games. And when he was a Seattle Kraken, once he got traded, is pretty damn consistently good defensively every single year. Yeah, I think it's fine. But yeah, 3 years for a team that I believe does have a lot of salary cap space. I can't quite say I love the term on it. I would have liked a little bit more risk here, considering their situation, that they need to take risks to get out of it.
Good point. LeBlanc?
I agree. I can't.
I hate Capo Caco, actually.
Yeah. All right. One last thing that I do want to say here before we get into the last thing that we want to do. Yegor Chinakhov has requested a trade out of Columbus. The agent cited misunderstandings with the coach and wants a new location. So Chinakhov was obviously I believe a 2021 first round pick, 2020 first round pick. He's jumped between the AHL and the NHL. Whenever he's been in the AHL, he's been very good. He doesn't spend much time in the AHL, but this past year only played 30 games with the Blue Jackets, had 15 points. Just overall, like, if he's going to be anything, he's probably going to be a third line guy at best. Maybe you can develop him enough to be a second liner. He is a KHL champion. That is something I guess you could keep in mind. But overall, Chinakhov, I don't think he could get a lot. But what do you guys think? Do you think he's movable? Well, he's definitely movable, but
everybody's movable at a certain price.
Yeah.
But I feel like a team can take a risk on him. The most I can see Columbus getting for him is probably maybe a third or a fourth. Like, I don't think his value is that high. Like, some team, I see like a young team who needs like young forward help take a chance on him.
You know what, Seattle? Maybe you should do it.
I was just thinking Seattle as well. Why not?
Yeah. I was thinking Montreal, actually.
Montreal wouldn't be bad either. I think just a team that needs scoring, or a team that they're in a weird spot. Like Seattle would make sense.
Chicago would make sense too.
Chicago, I wouldn't be opposed to. I wouldn't even be opposed if the Flyers went out and got him. I just I don't know. Take the risk. And again, Chinakhov is only 2.1 for another year. If he doesn't work out on your team, then you can trade him or just let him go. He's an RFA. You would obviously trade his rights, or just not qualify him. But even still, not a ton of risk to it. It would only cost you maybe a fourth or a third. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it if it was my team. So I don't hate that whatsoever. All right, that's it for news around the NHL. To end off this fun little short episode in the offseason, we're going to go over some way too early bounce back / breakout candidates. So what's funny is while I'm recording this episode, I have been posting my breakout candidates for literally every single team. I posted my first one today. So I'm going to go over a couple breakout candidates, but we're also going to go around and do some bounce back as well. We're just going to go in a random order. Doesn't really matter. It can be bounce back or breakout. We'll let our guest go first. We're just going to go over 5 or 6 or however many we have. So, Mike, I'll let you go first. Who you got to start off?
I'm going to start off with an unexpected one. Give you guys a surprise. I'm going to go with Mika Zibanejad. 62 points last year, but when you look at it, only 20 of those were goals compared to prior seasons where he was a 30 to 40 goal guy. When looking at it, he kind of bounced back in the second half of last season, so maybe this is a little bit of cheating. He only had 29 points in 50 games before the JT Miller deal, and then had 33 points in 32 games on JT Miller's wing. He played the right wing. He's no longer good enough defensively to play center, but if he plays a full season with JT Miller, I think he can get 75, maybe 80 points next year when he doesn't have defensive responsibilities. I think it's a solid bounce back, and I think the New York Rangers overall should be a better team, especially under Mike Sullivan.
There's definitely been regression from the Rangers and Zibanejad as a whole. That was a huge talking point. I don't hate that. I wasn't even really thinking about him for the Rangers, but that's a good pick. LeBlanc, who do you got as your first guy?
I got an obvious one, but I'm going to go with the less obvious one. So I'm going to go with Charlie McAvoy from the Boston Bruins.
Mm-hmm.
You remember in the Four Nations tournament, he had that injury that kept him out. I believe he didn't play another game the rest of the year.
Yep.
So
yeah, no, he hasn't played.
He's the Bruins' number one defenseman. I feel like coming back, great defensively. He's not the best producer of points. He had 7-16 for 7 goals, 16 assists for 23 points. I think like McAvoy on the Bruins blue line makes the Bruins a much better team. They're not going to be like the Bruins aren't going to be a playoff team in my eyes, but with McAvoy they'll be a way more competitive team, especially helping some of those younger defensemen out.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I think McAvoy, again, like, even though he wasn't that great, he was a huge part in that Boston blue line. And you could tell, like, when Lindholm was out and then after the Four Nations break when they didn't have McAvoy, the team before Four Nations was actually not that far away from a playoff spot. But without those two on the back end, they just fell off a cliff. Like, it was just absolutely horrible to watch their blue line after the Four Nations break. I'm going to pull this guy's on my team card, so he's going to bounce back. I'm going to look at, and I thought about Owen Tippett first for Philadelphia, but I'm going to look at Trevor Zegras. Going to a new team after being with Anaheim the last couple of years and just not putting up the greatest numbers. Last season was injured for a lot of the year, put up 15 points. This past year just wasn't the Zegras that we saw in the other years, only had 32 and 57. I think if you give Zegras the right line mates, the right creative offensive line mates, I think he can get back to that 65, 70 point plateau, which is why I'm going to be Mr. Biased and pick him as one of my bounce back guys, in my opinion. I just think that he has the skill. I think anybody who just doesn't see that is just not smart. He has the offensive style to his game. I really do think this kid can break through. It's just a matter of, will he have the right situation around him with the Flyers?
Yeah, I've always said Cronin was like a domestic terrorist there in terms of just stunting the growth of basically every single Anaheim Ducks player. Hopefully Taku. Tak has at least had some success, though, as a coach. Cronin was crazy with nothing.
Yeah, Taku's also like decently good with the younger players, so I feel like Zegras will adapt to the system pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mike, who do you got next?
I'll go breakout. I was very high on this guy back in the 2023 draft. I had him as my number 5 prospect ahead of Will Smith. I think Zach Benson is going to break out this season, especially after J.J. Peterka got traded from the Buffalo Sabres. Daily Faceoff right now has him as a top line left winger. He's kind of been stuffed in more so of a third line role. Third line, it was not nearly good enough for the Buffalo Sabres. He was not playing with much talent. If you actually give him the opportunity, I still think that he has the skill as well as the defensive game. He's been pretty solid defensively his first 2 years. He's only put up 30 points, and then this year 28 points in 75 games. But I still believe in the player. I think that his skill is finally going to be able to show in a top 6 role now that a top 6 role has kind of opened up in Buffalo.
I like that. Yeah, I think, again, just like looking at how he was last year, I didn't see the Benson that I saw in his rookie year. Mm-hmm. So I think that, again, just getting more time with Peterka being gone, I think it's going to give him an opportunity to really have a breakout year. Okay, LeBlanc?
I'm deciding. We're going to go between the pipes here. I'm going to go with Thatcher Demko. Demko was injured and he came back, putting up a 290 goals against average and a .889 save percentage. Those are not Thatcher Demko-like numbers. I expect him in a full offseason for him to recover, ready for the start of the year. I expect him to have a much better year like he did in 2024.
Yeah, I totally agree. Again, Demko just didn't have just was injured. And again, when I was doing my top 20 goaltenders list, I honestly forgot about him. Like, I was just like, I completely forgot about him. I did have him in my list eventually, but just the season he had, it's easy to forget. So I think, again, Demko's a really good pick. I'm going to go breakout here. I have somebody who I have been very, very high on and somebody who I like a lot. It is Gage Gonzalez from the Tampa Bay Lightning. I am a big fan of this guy. just because of the fact that you guys know that I do the Watch of Nordic streams. It's probably the best thing that I've ever come up with. Gonzalez led all rookies in points in my streams. It was awesome.
He knew. He got the notification before. Nord's watching.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like just the offensive style to his game, the creativity. He was a second-round pick in 2020. He spent the past couple of years in the AHL just developing, going from 32 points in 21-22 to 58 points in 23-24. Got a shot with the Lightning this past year for 60 games, put up 20 points. Respectable numbers for a second-round pick, taking time to develop. I just really liked his game. And I think that next year, if he's going to get a more full-time role with the Lightning, I think he could have a chance to put up, not like crazy numbers, but maybe put up like a good 45, 50 point season. Maybe that's not like a big breakout candidate, but even still, for Tampa, a team that does not have that great of a prospect pool, especially now with Isaac Howard not being in it, it's good to see a guy come out of the system like this.
Yeah, and especially a guy that's cheap. Like, they'll ship someone else out to get a defenseman or something like that if they know that him dirt cheap can be pretty productive for them.
Yeah, he's only 1.2 mil for the next 2 seasons, so it's good value. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, definitely. I'm up now. I'll go bounce back and kind of building off the blocks. I did not copy this. I copy about this. I had this written down. Jeremy Swayman literally can't play worse than he did this season with an 892 and like -5 analytics among starters. As we talked about, McAvoy only played 50 games. Hampus Lindholm only played 17 games last year. That is insane. I thought it was like 35 or like 40. So like, he didn't have his two best. He had his two best defensemen for a combined 77 games last year. That still doesn't excuse his play last year, but I think that he's going to bounce back. You look at his first 3 years in the NHL, although he was behind a much better, much improved defense core to even what he will have this year if those guys are healthy. You don't just fall off a cliff at 26 years old, and he definitely has a lot to play for, potentially making a Team USA. So yeah, I think he's going to be at least at like a 907, 908, and has real potential to get back into the 910s.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good pick. I think, again, just Swayman, I said it so much. I'm like, you missed training camp. Like,
that threw him off. Yeah, definitely. And fans, like, some fans, like, hated him after that, like, regardless, especially if the team didn't start good. Like, you got a lot of criticism.
Just insane. All right, LeBlanc, who do you got?
I've not gone breakout yet, so I'm going to go breakout. I'm going to go with Shane Wright from the Seattle Kraken. Wright had a decently under the radar season, putting up 19 goals, 25 assists for 44 points. I expect that's pretty good numbers for playing third line. And with with Dan Bylsma, I feel like he kind of helped him with that. And who did they hire? I'm like
Lane Lambert. Ex-Islanders head coach.
Jesus.
I feel like Shane Wright can play his way into that top 6, especially if guys like Matty Beniers and Chano Stevenson, especially if Stevenson starts to regress a little bit, I feel like Wright can get into that top 6 role. And I feel like he can go for like a 60, 65 point season, even a 70 point season if he gets into that top 6.
Yeah, there's a very good chance that Wright really has a huge year this coming year. So
especially after they traded Bjorkstrand, traded Gord. A lot of minutes on that team to potentially go to Shane Wright.
I'm going to go breakout again because I have 32 players that I can choose from. Just looking at a couple of these, there's a few that are like very obvious for me. I'm actually going to go with, and this is somebody else who from the streams I was a really big fan of this year, Jackson Blake. Like, I can't say enough good things about this kid in Carolina. This past year in his rookie year, again, he was a 4th-round pick in 2021. So this kid developed with the University of North Dakota. He got a full shot with Carolina this past year, didn't play any AHL time, just went straight from North Dakota to a training camp role with Carolina. This past year, 34 points, 17 goals in 80 games played, was a very serviceable second power play guy, had 6 points in the playoffs. I think Blake has really good upside to become like a 60-point scorer. Like, I am a big fan of this guy. Just seeing how he was last year. And again, he's 5'11" and he's doing all this. That's just really impressive to me. Maybe not 70 points out of the go, but I think Blake has a really good shot to break out in Carolina.
Yeah, I think my only concern with that, I love the player, but there's just so many wingers in Carolina. Like, they are set. interim. They have Svechnikov and Ehlers on the left side. Right side's Stig, Coven, and Jarvis. That's like my one concern. What his role will be next year. It will elevate.
Yeah, that is the other thing that you gotta keep in mind. So I'll give you that. Yeah, that's the other. I didn't think about that. All right, going back to Bartner. This is our fourth one, I think.
Yeah, so, I think so. I'll stick in Carolina for a bounce back. A newly acquired player, Keandre Miller, 27 points in 74 games last year. I watched a decent amount of New York Rangers. He just made some really, really dumb decisions on the Rangers, and I think Rod Brind'Amour, going from Laviolette to Rod Brind'Amour, he'll be able to straighten that out. He won't have as big of a workload compared to the New York Rangers, where he was playing 22 minutes a night. He will not be required to do as much. I think he will fit into the system. The physical tools, the athleticism are there for a guy like Keandre Miller to be a solid number 4. I don't know if he's going to be worth $7.5 million off rip, but yeah, for a guy that's stock has kind of been on a slide the last 3 years, I think he's going to be much improved next year.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick. LeBlanc?
I'm going to go breakout, and I'm going to go with Marco Kasper from the Red Wings.
Ooh, yeah, that was unbiased. Going with the wing.
It looks like that Kasper's going to be that number 2 center behind Larkin, and he's going to play a guy with DeBrincat and Kane, most likely. That's what I would assume was going to happen. And I feel like he's got a great opportunity to get those points up. He had a really good year. He had 19 goals, 18 assists for 37 points. In a rookie year, that I take that. Let's just round up to 20 goal scorer. And I feel like Kasper's got a great game. He's a really good skater. He's a really good playmaker. I'm really high on Marco Kasper. I really do like the way he plays, and I think that he has a great opportunity in Detroit to actually maybe get up. I can see maybe a 50, 55 point season, maybe even 60 if things go well.
Yeah, he's got some dangerous just upside overall. I'm a big fan of Kasper. Kasper was one of my breakout candidates, so I will say that. I'm going to go with another breakout candidate because I just have so many of them. I'm actually going to go with my pick for the New York Islanders. I'm going with Bartner. Hear me out here. Isaiah George. What do you think about that?
I don't know how much he's going to play considering they have Romanov, Pelech.
That is the other thing. That was the guy that was the one concern that I was thinking about. But
he was good last year when he played.
Yeah, was good playing last year. Was a 4th-round pick back in 2022. Had 14 points in 33 games played. Straight out of the OHL with the London Knights with the Bridgeport Islanders. Got some shot, and Bridgeport was not a good team, mind you, at all. And then came up to the Islanders for 33 games as well. Looked pretty solid. Again, that was my only concern was George. Just with the amount of guys on the blue line now, especially if Schaefer comes and plays next year, George may not get a lot of time on that left side. So that's the only thing that I was thinking about. But I still think that when he gets a shot, or if he gets a shot, I don't think he's going to disappoint. I think this guy has a lot of, not really offensive upside, but just a good defensive guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, he impressed me. He was an Energizer bunny out there in terms of just zipping up and down the ice. He definitely has some things that he needs to refine within his game, but for a 4th-round pick that was selected in like 2022 or something like that, the fact that he's already playing NHL games is very encouraging. And yeah, if one of those guys go down, he's going to be the next guy up from Bridgeport for sure.
Yeah, totally. I just hope he doesn't play in Bridgeport because that was painful.
They'll be better. They gotta be. They can't be any worse than they were the last couple of years under Chrissy Lambs. I'm up now. I'll go bounce back. I'll go Matthias Maccelli. Might be in part just because he's going from such a better situation compared to he was kind of stuck on their 3rd line this year for Utah. You watched them a lot, right?
He was playing 4th line.
I got to pull it up. They played him 13:43 a night, 18 points, 55 games. Toronto's bringing them in. They're clearly bringing him in to be some kind of not Mitch Marner replacement, but that kind of player type. In terms of a playmaker passer, I think he's going to get looks with Matthews. He's going to get looks with John Tavares. And I think he can make it work considering what we saw his first 2 years in Arizona when he was putting up 57-point pace. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can potentially bring to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think it can only be up from considering how bad last year was.
Yeah, totally. Just again, like going back to him, like I saw when we got Paterka, I was like, yeah, he's gone. Like there was just no way we were gonna keep him. I'm actually surprised we kept Michael Carconi. I was really surprised about that because I thought he was going to go too, but I just don't think he just wasn't working out with Utah. I wish nothing but the best for him though. Like I was a huge fan of him back in Arizona. Just in Utah this past year, just kind of got forgotten under some of the guys. But I was a huge fan of him. Just seeing him develop from that 4th round pick back in 2019. It sucks it didn't work out because he had some really good seasons with us prior to going to Utah. So I just wish for the best in Toronto, honestly.
Yeah, and he's a guy that you just like, if you're not playing him in the top 6, you have to trade him. Like, simple as that. You're not going to utilize him in some kind of bottom 6 2-way role. Toronto, he might get that top 6 look, even though Toronto's a far better team than Utah. They have so many needs within their forward core. So it might happen in Toronto.
Yeah. All right, LeBlanc.
I hope he does well, just not against the Senators.
Good point. So, yeah, I'm sure you hate it right now. Your last guy, what do you got?
So I'm going to sit here because no one's going to say it. No one's going to say the most obvious. Elias Pettersson.
Oh.
He is pretty obvious.
I'm saying him because not that, he should bounce back. No, he needs to bounce back. There's not a, he should. No, if he doesn't, it's bad news. It's bad news for the organization. Elias Pettersson, I'm going to put this in perspective for you. He had 15 goals, 30 assists, 45 points. Dylan Cousins had more points than Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
Shane Wright had 1 less point than Elias Pettersson last year. This is how dire we're getting. So I feel like with Pettersson, he did it. He was a 100-point scorer. I feel like Miller gone, like new coach, no distractions. Get it done.
I don't think there's an excuse now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll get traded if he stinks again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for my last guy, I'm going to turn it over to Florida. I'm going to go with Mackie Samoskevich. Now, what's funny is I hear from my girlfriend all the time that, because she's a Michigan fan and I'm a Penn State fan, it's insufferable, I know. Mm-hmm. But I hear from her all the time about how Samoskevich came from Michigan and he won the cup with Florida even though he did nothing. Anyways, I like Samoskevich. Came right out of Charlotte, which is where he played last year. Came into the NHL this year, had a respectable 15 goals, 31 points in 72 games played. Won the cup with Florida. I think Samoskevich has a really good chance to become like a 50-point guy. He's a little bit shorter than some of the other players, but he's only 22. I just think there's some upside there with him. And in terms of just like, I mean, again, like he's also a pretty physical guy as well. He can play physical on the physical end of things. So I think that for somebody like Samoskevich, who grew into a role in the bottom 6, I think he could be a part of this team next year if they want to go like on a real deep run. He only played 4 games last year in the playoffs. I think it was all in the first round. Just didn't play the rest of the playoffs. But I think again, like with Florida losing a couple of those guys on the 4th line and stuff, I think Samoskevich is pretty much locked in for a spot next year.
Yeah, the fact he's like their number 9 or number 10 forward, their depth is just absolutely insane. And the matchups that he'll be seeing next year will be very, very favorable in his direction. And I could definitely see him going for like 35, 40 points.
Yeah. And I completely forgot that he was a 1st-round pick back in 2021. Mm-hmm. So he turned out to be actually a pretty decent pick for Florida at 24th overall.
It's probably their last 1st-round pick to like 2035 or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. That actually is their last one. You are absolutely right. Do you guys have any other ones you want to throw in here before we wrap up?
I want to.
I'd like 20. So
yeah, I'll throw one more bounce back because he got criticized a lot, and I don't love the contract, but I think Trent Frederick will be much better next year for Edmonton. 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points in 58 games this year for Boston. He was battling through some type of injury. He is the guy, although I don't like considering the leverage that they had after that season. I thought you should be able to get him for like $3 million, not $3.85 million. But yeah, he's a year removed from 18 goals, 22 assists, 40 points. and is that physical demon that you want in your bottom six. So I think for Edmonton, a lot of people like laughed at that contract. I think it could be pretty decent. It's a risky investment, but I think it really could pay off considering he's only 26 years old or 27 years old.
Definitely. LeBlanc, you have any other guys you want to just throw off?
I got a little handful of guys here. So I wanted to bring up Yuri Kulich. I feel like in Buffalo, he's going to get a much bigger role next year. Like similar to Benson, with Paterka gone, Kulich should be in that top six. Should
yeah, that was
and Norris getting hurt every year.
Yeah, I know.
You can't deny it anymore, LeBlanc.
Yeah. Speaking of Norris, I have Dylan Cousins on my list as well because when he got to Ottawa, he played 21 games. He had 16 points in those 21 games. Pretty good production.
Yeah.
I feel like him on that second line with Batterson and potentially Perron or Zetterlund, whoever they choose to put down there with him, I feel like it's going to be a decent year for Cousins. I could see him getting up towards, I want to say 70 as a biased Sens fan, but I'm going to say 65.
My God.
That's fair,
that's a huge difference. 5 points. Wow.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely.
I can see him getting 60 points next year. Another one in here, I got Zach Bolduc, who just got traded to Montreal. I feel like
he'll play a big role,
He'll play a big role. I feel like he's going to probably get up to closer to 25 goals next year.
Not as great as some people are saying he is, but I agree.
And then lastly, I wanted
Canadian
to get
fans overrating? No way.
Yeah, crazy.
I wanted to get another goalie in here. I went with UC Saros.
Yeah, Saros was another one. Just like, he played us as a horrible team.
I'm just going to say, it can't get any worse than it already was. Like, it can't get any worse.
Yeah, honestly. I still think he was good. Like, he wasn't, like, bad. He was, like, I think, like, second or third in shutouts, I'm pretty sure, in the league.
But I have his stats here, 3 goals against average. I know that's not his fault because you saw, you know what happened. And then 0.8, and then just below 900 save percentage, which is the common error, it's not that good.
Yeah, it's below average. I mean, honestly, like at that point, like at this point, it's kind of average. But anyway, totally agree. LeBlanc, I had Ridley Gregg as my breakout candidate. How do you feel about that for Ottawa?
I like it because I feel like he's a pest. That's what he is. I feel like if he can step into a role where he's providing more offense around him, he's also good on penalty kill as well. So I feel like if he can factor in his perfect his two-way game, then I feel like he's going to break out early. But Shane Pinto as well, I would say he's also
Pinto was what I thought about
him. So if he can outplay Pinto, then I feel like Greg definitely can be a breakout candidate.
Yeah. Other guys that I had Poitras for Boston as a breakout candidate. I had Nick Robertson for Toronto if he doesn't get traded. I also had Tyson Forster for Philadelphia. I had McGroarty for Pittsburgh. So we're going to add a couple. Bichelle for Dallas. And then I'll say one more. One that I didn't mention, Yaroslav Askarov for the Sharks. He's going to get a full-time role as a starter. I thought he really was he's going to have a good year next year for sure. All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, that is the end of this episode of the MVP. LeBlanc, any final thoughts?
I'm surprised you didn't say Mitchkov.
I could have said Mitchkov as well. I thought about Mitchkov, but that would just be too obvious. Because, of course, Mitchkov's going to have a breakout year next year. I wanted to go with somebody who was less obvious than, the number one lookie. Like Montreal, I could have went with Lane Hudson, or San Jose, I could have went with Celebrini. It's just like, you can't go with the obvious ones every time.
It's hard to break out when you already broke so many rookie records.
Yeah.
100-point season required for the breakout.
Get like 50 points next year, and everybody's going to be like, wow, trash. Well, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts for us?
No, it was a great time chopping it up with you boys. I absolutely love it, and I'd be happy to be back at any point.
You will be back. When the Islanders are last in the NHL.
When we get Gavin McKenna, I'll hop on.
So that'll be it for this episode of the podcast, so we can stop the fantasies from happening. I swear, if you guys, because like
you watch Penn State the entire year, and then he just ends up an Islander. You go from rooting for him to hating him immediately after.
I won't hate him, but I'll just be like, bro, are you serious right now? Break my heart again.
Don't put that out there. That's not funny. That one's not funny.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Ciao.
I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Man, I just do what I do. To know about you, I just do what I do. Check. That's the intro. See that? Yeah. I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Yo, check. Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need an omen or sign. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. Be getting it, my skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Me now. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it, it's mine. I'm selfish. Yo, will tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. No yes men, I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks, cause after that I bless them. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do. I just do what I do. I don't know about you, I just do what I do. Check. I just do what I do. See me? I just do what I do. Feel me? I just do what I do.